Bloomington City of Refuge Church has a new home. It's one of the things you need to know to start your day for Monday, September 23rd. I'm Ryan Denham, and this is WGLT's The Leadoff. Now let's lead off at Illinois State University, which may have a cash flow problem caused by years of what leaders said was budgeting based on history and not current revenue. That's resulted in a pay freeze this year and more cost containment to come. But the financial news for the university is not all bad. WGLT's Charlie Schlenker has more.
ISU donors gave a lot to the university last year. ISU President Andave Tarfule says gifts of $35.4 million were the third highest total on record.
I am incredibly grateful for the private support Illinois State University receives from our generous donors and supportive alums.
The university endowment also had a good year. It's up 10% on the strength of investments to nearly $225 million. And financially constrained or not, ISU has a big footprint. Tarhule notes a Bloomington Normal Economic Development Council study shows a huge economic impact.
The university contributes $1 billion in output to the region and supports 7,283 jobs.
And the university generates more than $178 million in annual tax revenue.
For every dollar spent by the university, $1.75 is returned back to our community.
Tarhule says ISU provides strong economic influence at the local, state, and national levels. For The Leadoff, I'm Charlie Schlenker.
Here's some other stories we're following in the WGLT newsroom. The Bloomington City Council meets tonight at 6 at the Government Center. On the agenda are plans to take a more aggressive stance to collect hundreds of thousands of dollars in overdue parking debt through towing vehicles. The McLean County League of Women Voters is supporting a ballot initiative to eliminate the county's elected auditor. That office oversees county finances. The league says the auditor should be appointed because the office does not set policy. And Caterpillar is pulling back some diversity, equity, and inclusion policies after a conservative activist set his sights on the company. One of the changes, Cat will no longer participate in an LGBTQ plus advocacy group's Corporate Equality Index. You can find more on these stories at WGLT.org. After 13 years on Jefferson Street, City of Refuge Church has a new home. The church purchased a 5.5-acre commercial lot behind the Cracker Barrel in South Bloomington, including a 40,000-square-foot office building and large parking lot. WGLT's Lauren Warnicki got a sneak peek as City of Refuge, commonly referred to as the city, prepares to move in.
It's a remarkably different footprint. Pastor William Bennett imagines the church as a community gathering space where all are welcome, whether they're parishioners or not. In their previous space, most meetings and ministry groups had to be held in the sanctuary. Church leaders struggled to find places for meetings.
One of the reasons why we love this building is because it provides us with enough space to do ministry, and those private moments that we have to have, we'll be able to do. So like for our executive team, you need to meet with somebody, take them in your office.
Across the main floor from the executive suite are offices and meeting spaces for the fellowship team. That's where Bennett envisions a supply of food for community members in need.
One of our main goals is to feed, the hungry, whether there be members of our church. If, you were short this week on groceries, you want to be able to come to church. You don't need to leave knowing you don't have any food in your refrigerator. You know what I'm saying? To come in this spot, get your groceries, and go home. Those who are outside of our church, non-members, still come in. These rooms are going to be stocked with groceries that you can get.
That's just the tip of the iceberg. The city now has space for a nurse's station, fellowship spaces exclusively for men, for women, for teens, seniors, and kids. They've envisioned a kids zone used for Sunday school, rentable co-working space and a media room, a music studio, and a podcasting suite. Eventually, they'll have a gym and a hangout space, an esthetician, a dance studio. Off of the sanctuary, nursing mothers will now have private space that have televisions with simulcasts of the service. But perhaps most importantly, there's an elevator that's making fellowship spaces accessible to everyone. By knocking down a bunch of walls, they'll create a sanctuary big enough for 300 people. The congregation stands at about 250 now, but they've already talked about adding a second Sunday service. When your parents opened the church, it was more a situation like this, right? It was just kind of a building that they built a congregation in. Yeah. When you went downtown to Jefferson, it was a church.
Yeah, sure.
And I know the church is not the building,
right.
but this is kind of your opportunity to envision the sanctuary and make a church space out of a building that wasn't designed for that.
Absolutely, and that's been the fun part of it, right? To just get into this space and like, how can we turn this building into a church in 3 weeks? Or at least in a place where the church can come and worship and do what we do. And we have a great team. I need to shout out Dr. Krista Platt. She's our expansion director. So she's kind of the brains behind all of this. I'm just going along with her, supporting her vision. But yeah, it's been an awesome opportunity. Like you said, the people are the church. So wherever we go, God's going with us. The Spirit's going with us. But yeah, we're having to kind of use vision to kind of see how does this building work with what we need to do. And we're finding it's working.
I know that you said last time we chatted that there was a lot of excitement about going to a space that was more accessible, right? Like a little more accessible both for people with disabilities, for parking purposes, all of the ways. But I suspect some folks are a little sad to leave a building that looks like a church.
Yeah, we have 2 more weeks at Jefferson, and there, we do have some members that are a little sad, just leaving that space. We've been there for like 13 years, so, there's memories. We've done a lot of work in that place. So, but we're excited about this opportunity. The same things that happen on Jefferson are going to happen here and even more.
City of Refuge Ministries will hold their first church services at their new location, 404 Brock Drive, on Sunday, October 6th. In addition to donations and earned revenue from rentals, the church will use money previously allocated for maintaining their century-old building to invest in their vision for a community center for all. I'm Lauren Warnicki.
And before we let you go, ISU's Homecoming Week begins with a kickoff and tree lighting ceremony in Uptown Normal tonight, starting at 6. That's it for today. I'm Ryan Denham. The show was produced by Rosalie Truback. You can subscribe to The Leadoff on the NPR app or wherever you listen.